All right, we are back. 2022 Recovery First Podcast. Welcome, everyone, to the Recovery First Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Todd. We are live once again at Askham Studios in beautiful Greenville, South Carolina, a great community to be in recovery. Tonight's show is brought to you by the South Carolina Recovery Housing Association. They have gotten out a little over 1,100 units of naloxone kits to recovery housing and housing statewide in South Carolina, including 14 reported overdose reversals. All right, and we want to remind everyone of the South Carolina Recovery Housing Support Hotline. If you have questions about recovery housing or need to speak with a peer support specialist about your situation, call. Todd's got it up there on the screen, 1-800-396-7919. All calls are confidential. We will get you hooked up with a peer support specialist to help you out. Another great initiative that we always like to talk about here on our podcast. We want to remind everyone of the Challenges Inc. Jesse May Harm Reduction Bus. What a great initiative that is. It'll be at the old Save More parking lot on Wade Hampton Boulevard. It's across from Planet Fitness, and it's across from the old Kmart shopping center. A lot of people have been in Greenville a long time, know where that's at. They will be giving out, and they have been giving out naloxone. They have free HIV, hepatitis testing, as well as giving out clean syringes to those in need. If you need any more information on this, don't hesitate. You can reach out to us confidentially if you need to know more about this initiative. If you or a loved one need any information concerning community services that involve substance use disorder, please contact us. We'll connect you with some great people and programs, just like the one we have here that we're going to talk about tonight. And speaking of, David. So tonight I'm here with David Carson with Sammy's Mission. But David, before we get into this, I do want to kind of sit this up here. I don't know if everybody can see this, but this is naloxone, Narcan. If anybody needs this, and if you're a recovery housing operator or if you're in a recovery house and you don't have this, contact us. We'll get you some. This is what it looks like. We'll show you how to use it. If you're a parent, whatever it may be, we'll get that out to you. But tonight, with no further ado, I'm here with David Carson of Sammy's Mission. David.
Hey, Mike.
Thank you. I just want to thank you. We've been talking for a while. I want to thank you for everything that you do in the community. I've told you this a few times as we've kind of got to know each other. You kind of remind me of me before I got tired. If I can say that. And, I know a lot about what you're going through. This is not an easy initiative. But I first and foremost, I want to say thank you. But anyway, tell us a little bit. I know a little bit about your story just from out here in the community. Tell us a little bit about your journey in recovery.
So, Mike, I growed up like an ordinary kid at Selden Sports and just growed up like a kid should in early childhood. And I made some bad choices when I was later on in high school. And one thing led to another, man. And before you know it, I was a hopeless addict. It started with pain pills, and then it led to one thing to another, meth, heroin, and done all that. But just that road of darkness and being lost, that's what got me to with the recovery. You know, I remember writing a letter in jail 6 years ago to my aunt. And I told her then that God had put a calling on my life to help other drug addicts. And I was locked up at the time when I wrote this. I didn't know that I was going to be sitting here talking to you today about it, you know. But yeah, just God laid it on my heart to do so. And, you know, I haven't gotten high since.
Man, and that is wonderful. And I can tell that the more I get to know you, is I do believe that God has called you to do this. I really do. And that's one of the things I'm really grateful. We were joking around with Todd. Todd's our producer, and he does this. And this is part of this is a gift that he has to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and you and I were sitting here thinking, man, we never thought we'd be on something like that. I mean, look at the graphics and all the things that he does. And we're very blessed
for sure
to have him and to be able to do this but just a little bit about like how Sammy's mission came about. There is actually a Sammy, right?
Yes, sir. Sammy Johnson was his name.
Okay. Yeah. How did Sammy's mission kind of come about? And how long have y'all been around? Like a couple of years now, right?
Sammy's mission?
Yeah.
November 2020, we filed for our 501c.
Right. So you're relatively new.
Yeah. We opened our first house in March of last year.
And doing a darn good job. And you got like 4 houses right now, right?
Yeah, we got 4 houses with 24 men.
Todd thought it was 3, but no, he just opened up another. He's got 4 houses. He's rocking and rolling. But how did Sammy's mission kind of come about?
So I was in treatment probably 7-8 years ago, and I met a friend of mine there. We just clicked. We was there for probably 6 months together, and we was like best friends, inseparable. We worked together. It was a place where we worked and paid our own way, you know, and we just became real good friends and like brothers. And I got kicked out, and the day after I got kicked out, he left, and I really wasn't ready. I come back up to Greenville, and me and him hooked back up, and we run the streets up here for a long time. But he was like my brother. The last time I seen him was over off of South Pleasantburg. I had a little bit of money in my pocket, and I was like, man, I can't do it anymore. And I handed him my money, and I left. And that was the last time I seen him. I went to treatment. He told me he loved me. He said, man, go get clean. I was going to treatment then. And when I was there about a month, and they come up there and told me that he'd passed away. And
where did you go? You went to treatment here in Greenville. Did you go to Miracle Hill?
I did. I went to Miracle Hill Overcomers. Yeah. And
kind of just real quick, Miracle Hill's really well known here. It's a pretty big program, faith-based program. And let me tell you something. They've helped a lot of people, including you, haven't they?
They saved my life, man.
They saved your life. I think it's hey, shout out to Miracle Hill.
Yeah, for sure.
And I read the guy that owns Miracle doesn't own Miracle Hill, but Reed Lehman.
Yeah, he's helped me. That's who's helped me. He's the one that
David, let me tell you something. Read his book on God's Watch or something like that.
It's amazing.
Did you read that book?
I did. I read a little bit of it. Yeah.
Does it for me, I remember reading it, and you just feel so much of what I was doing and where he was at. And it's a great book, and it was really inspirational. But Reed Lehman started Miracle Hill. Yeah, he sure did. And then the Overcomers part is what you came through. And then they actually, do you know the name of the women's program? They've just kind of opened a
Renewal.
You know what? Somebody called me last night and needed something for and wanted something faith-based. And I said, man, that's great. And I hooked them up with Renewal. So absolutely fantastic. And you opened this to kind of honor your buddy, right? That
I did.
He didn't make it. Right.
No. And a lot of my friends didn't make it, haven't made it.
A lot of my friends haven't made it either. And it's been especially, last year we were talking about this before the show. We've lost 100,000 people to preventable overdose last year. And I know you've lost a bunch of friends, but it's good that you're doing this to honor him. And so real quick, and what kind of services does Sammy's mission do? Okay, like, where do you get your folks? Mainly off the street, from detox? I mean, how does that work?
So we try to deal with other rehabs that don't provide transitional homes. That's a pretty important part in recovery. It was for me, because if you'd have took me and put me in treatment somewhere, and when I got out of treatment, I had to go back to the same toxic lifestyle that I was living in, I didn't stand a chance. You know what I mean? But we get a lot of them out of other treatment centers. I've gotten a few out of jail that's been sober a little while. You know what I mean? And just Todd, I've met a lot of people over the last 5 years, man. And I mean, people reach out to me daily, man. It's crazy.
I know.
And I don't pray to, I'm not one of these guys that's just trying to fill a bed. I pray for the right men to come along that want recovery. You know what I mean? And I try to help everybody. I'll get them somewhere, but
you're just trying to get it done. And that's what I love about you. And personally, I mean, I don't know. I've been doing this a while, but that's the reason I want to help you. And Todd and I, we want to help you in however we can. But when they come in, okay, and I want you, like, once we start sharing this out and people can, once they come in, they have nothing, right? For the most part, they may come in from jail. They may come in off the street. They may come in detox, but they have to kind of be substance free for a while, but they pretty much come in with the clothes on their back, man. I know I did this for years, and they come in like they live out of a trash bag kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's the way I showed up, with a trash bag. You know what I mean? A lot of them. Some of them don't have nothing. You know, some of these guys just got locked up. Todd, they lost everything they have. They don't have nothing.
I remember living out in my car in Myrtle Beach and had everything I owned in a trash bag. So here they are, and I want people to understand this. This man is taking these folks, okay, and they come to him, they have nothing. I mean, so you got to help them. I mean, like, man, I had to help him get everything from toothbrushes to soap to toiletries to
socks, underwear.
Yes. And I'm going to say this. Okay. I bet you and Mandi, a lot of times you pull that out of your pocket, don't you?
So now we have some private donors and a couple of churches to help us. But when we started, Mike, that's the way we started. We were sitting at our kitchen table in there, and we took a couple $100 and put it in a savings account and opened up Sammy's Mission.
Listen, that's so funny, because I started, and I've recently kind of retired from housing, but started Freedom Recovery Center. Renee and I with $150 and a defunct halfway house kind of thing. And it's the same exact thing. And, it's not, people actually think, and I know this is kind of further down the line, but they think that you get state and federal funding. We're not going to go there just yet, because that's kind of, but the point I'm trying to make is, it's like you said, you and Mandi, and now you work, you have a tree service business, right?
Yes. Grace Tree Service.
Right. Plug it, man. Plug it. But this is not something you're getting rich off of. I mean, it's just, they come to you, they have nothing, to their name, and you got to kind of help them get to that point, and they get a place to stay, and now you got to get them a job, right?
Yeah. We try to find them a good place to job, a safe. That's another thing, finding a safe environment for these guys to work in. And
let me ask you this, David, because you say a lot, you have some that come out of jail, you have them come from all these different directions. A lot of them obviously have records. Is that a struggle? to get them jobs?
So in some places it is. I've run into that quite a few times. I run into it myself when I was getting out of treatment, but we got a few places that believe in what we're doing, and the guys that went before them has laid the path that these guys that they work for believe in them. You know what I mean? We got a pretty good reputation with the employees we work with now.
That's actually a question I had. Are there any co-ops out there? Like, obviously you guys are, faith-based, so you're pretty involved with having the churches involved with your organization.
Yeah.
Sure, within the church there's plenty of, small business owners to medium size to large, So I know that, I myself have been, through a couple of recovery homes where they've had like a co-op program, like, typically your first couple months, you're focusing on your recovery, and then, they can give you a list of people that they're associated with and have a good rapport. And so do you find that being healthy, having those one-on-one connections rather than trying to send them to like a labor ready or something?
We don't do the labor ready thing. We got connections that people, and when we first started, people was like, well, I don't know. You know what I mean? But now that they see what we got going on and is structured, they getting involved. We really don't have a problem with that at this time. We don't.
I remember I had a lady for years when I did the same thing you were doing, and then I kind of phased out of it for the last few years of my illustrious career. But I had one lady that would help us, and we had like 2 or 3 places, and we had to keep it within a route. Because you couldn't have like everybody running. Now you provide transportation, is that right? At every house?
We try to. We actually just went and bought we got enough money where we could buy our second van today, a used old van that well, I didn't say it's old, it's nice.
I swear you sound just like me. Renee Todd, are you watching this? If you are, you're probably sitting here going, bless their hearts. I mean, we need to go out and like take y'all to dinner or something, because this sounds so familiar and similar.
Right.
So you got 4 houses, you got 2 vans. You could really probably use 4 vans really per house, right?
We could. And a lot, but the guys, they look out for one another, Mike. They're like a family. Like some of these guys, we opened our first house up in March, and we don't have a big turnover rate. Most of these guys has got their driver's license back, did all that. Now they got vehicles. Well, that's what we're starting to see now, but they help one another out,
That's perfect. That is perfect, man. I love this. This is like, for people that don't know what's going on, like, this is down and in it, recovery housing, indigent guys, like, this is doing the deal, right? There's not any insurance. There's not any all this funding. There's not, like, man, this guy is doing the deal. Okay. And go ahead, Todd. Because Todd, I know you came from this.
Well, and I had a question, like, so with your, like, is there a structured program? So for those that don't know about Sammy's mission, do you have a structured program that coincides with, obviously, you said you have guys that are working and that have means for transportation. So whether that's a 12-step meeting, or do you have something that so people could know how, like, your program actually works as far as from the housing end of it?
So I don't actually have my own program. What we do is use 12 steps. Either Celebrate Recovery. They're required to go to 2 meetings a week, and I love AA. You know what I mean? Yeah. I encourage them to go to AA and 12 steps recovery and get a mentor and go through these steps. You know what I mean? We're faith-based. Celebrate Recovery is all about Jesus and the 12 steps. The 12 steps work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you implement in your program. It helps guys. And I'm gonna tell you something. Years ago, I remember, I don't know if you ever ran into Pat Edwards, but she was the drug court lady for years.
I remember.
I bet you do, because I think anyway,
I've heard her name. I've never.
Well, and what I was going to tell you though is I remember sitting in her office and she said to me, Mike, what you are doing is phenomenal. And I thought, well, I'm just got a house and, transportation. She's like, if you've created a clean, safe place for these men, you have done something fantastic. And then the other thing she told me, she said, and if you got transportation, you're taking them back and forth to jobs, you are really doing something. So David, you really are doing something. I hate to hear this thing. Well, it's just a recovery house and getting them jobs. No, this is a huge, huge deal. It really is what you are doing. And you didn't start this with state and federal funds, and you didn't have you started this with your own money. You went and I know when you first started because we met. And you rented the first house and, we talked and I said, made sure you had naloxone, and we went over there and it was, and I was really, I liked it. It was very clean. They had a washer and dryer in there. They had a nice kitchen, refrigerator. Listen, this is, and that's what I want people to know is that this is something that is really, really wonderful in this community that you're doing. I mean, seriously. But and I do want to ask you this: if some money came along, okay, if some funding came along, whether it's state, federal, whatever it may be, where could you fill in some gaps? What are some services that you think would help you? Like you need vans, you need drivers, right?
That would be huge.
That would be huge. But no, what I wanted to ask you, because this is something that we're kind of tinkering around with and trying to do some things. Like if you could have, we have these trained peer support, like I'm getting ready to do my peer support training again. I took it in 2015, but long story short, I didn't get state certified. But if we had these peer support folks that could come in and work shifts and maybe help drive people, maybe supervise people. I see you lighting up a little bit there.
Yeah, we could use some help like that.
Yeah, or like have a meeting, like you said, you like AA. Yeah. Cool. Have an AA or have, I don't care, have a lot of them are in all recovery meetings and so forth. If you could have maybe a little team of peer support folks that could support you. So now you can go out. Unfortunately, you got to work a job and do this, right? Yeah. Or wouldn't it be, or let me just throw this at you, because I never made a living at it. I don't mind saying it. If you don't believe me, that you can look it up on the Secretary of State. You can look up how much I made. Yeah. And so wouldn't it be wonderful if you could just make a halfway decent living and work with these guys every day?
Yeah, that's my goal.
Could you imagine that? Because I listen to you and you have so much to offer. And for you, it's faith-based, and that's great. And you could have Bible studies with them. I mean, wouldn't that be wonderful if we could take individuals like you and pay them, I don't know, 35, 45 grand a year? Mm-hmm. Right? And maybe have some peer support helping you, and the peer support folks could actually drive the vans, and you could get people back and forth to their, because here's another thing that I ran into, David. Do you struggle to get them back and forth? A lot of them have mental health issues and medical issues. Do you struggle to get them back and forth and get them to that stuff?
So not necessarily. The one thing I'm struggling with now is the Hep C and getting treatment for that. That's one of the things that we need to.
I need a pen.
You know what that's something that I'm dealing with now with guys. See, I've done my Hep C treatment when I was at Overcomers. They offered it, and I don't know where to get it. I know it was $50-something thousand for a 6-week treatment. And
okay, I want you to stop right there, Todd. That right there was significant. That right there is what the folks at the state need to be hearing. That right there is exactly the things that we need to be going out and talking to people that do what he does, because he just taught me something. He just told me that what they need is support with Hep C. So imagine this. Imagine if David could make a halfway decent living, maybe he could get a peer support salary to work with them every day, to actually go in and do his Bible studies and do the things, or his 12, whatever it may be, or to have classes or whatever, or to have peer support. And then he sat here and told me that they need help with Hep C.
I'd rather get them help with Hep C than worry about me making. You know what I mean?
And I believe that, but believe me, you down the road, David.
The Hep C will kill you if you don't get it treated.
It will, and I'm going to tell you something. I want to talk to Mark Burrows about this, because I know that there is testing for. So what you're saying is you need testing for Hep C. No,
I got guys in there now that's got Hep C, and they need treatment for Hep C.
So is it
that's very good information, and I'm going to.
A matter of fact, I just met with a guy over there earlier, and he's a young kid, 26 years old, and he's got Hep C, and he's letting it worry him to death. And we're trying to find places that could, it's hard to get free treatment when you got an income, but the guy's only making he's making $16 to $17 an hour. You can't afford Hep C treatment.
I can't remember. I don't want to spout off something that's not true. Mark Burrows could help us with it, because but wouldn't it be good? Okay, think about this. If we could implement this in recovery housing, first and foremost, we should have naloxone in every recovery house.
Well, I've got that from you.
Right. And listen, and I know that you believe that. Okay. But if we have naloxone in every house, we have peer support people in every house, and we have Hep C and HIV testing in every house, and we have access to treatment. And that is why we need to be sitting down and figuring all this about. Listen, I really believe that we need to have a certifications process. I get all that, but it doesn't matter as long when we have people dying, overdosing in recovery housing, and we have people that can't get help for Hep C. I think we have some things that are more pressing. Would you agree with that, David?
Totally. Yes. The Hep C thing's a big concern of mine right now, Mike.
Okay. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because I'm going to be frank with you. That has not been on my radar.
Yeah. I think that, with all the shows that we've done now, I think this is probably the first that you and I have actually had a dialogue with any of the guests that that's concerned that. So definitely worth talking to Davis about. Definitely
absolutely. Department of Alcohol and Other Drug Abuse Services, do you hear us? and listen, and shout out to them, because David, they want to hear stuff like that. I think we've got some really great advocates over there right now.
That's awesome.
I think we do. We've got a couple of recovery coordinators that are there, and I think they are fantastic advocates. And this is definitely one of there's. I think the thing that we got to be doing is we've got to have naloxone. We've got to have the Hep C testing and some kind of treatment for that. I think that's a great start. And it's people like you that can put that on our radar, right? Because we've got to get this. We've got to get this to the folks that can make the decision. Because I'm going to tell you something. We keep hearing that there's a lot of money coming down from the Biden administration. We keep hearing this, that this money is supposed to come to the actual recovery services, direct recovery services. What are recovery services? Recovery community organizations, which have peer support folks that meet people, where they're at. You're talking about harm reduction, the things that Mark Burrows is doing out there, the giving out of naloxone, which actually fits more in prevention, but it needs to be funded. Like y'all need to be working together. And then the critical services that you and your wife, and I say your wife because she's a part of this too. She's She's supporting you. She's encouraging you, and she's supporting you. I never would have been able to do this as I did without Renee Todd.
Yeah, she's the backbone of Sammy's mission. I'm telling you.
I know that she's the backbone of Sammy's mission, and we're gonna talk about Mandi a little bit here in a minute. But the point I'm trying to make is this is fantastic information. I want to continue to communicate with you. I want you to we want to have some open dialogues. But I know that one of the things that when we have the harm reduction bus out there, I think that there's some way, again, I'm going to have to get with these folks, Todd, but there's some way to get, you've really got me fired up about that, putting that up on my radar. But let me ask you this. So you've answered some questions, okay, Biden administration funding, some of these things, you've answered some questions of where we can fit in some gaps. Okay. And I can tell you that as I talk to other recovery housing operators, other housing operators, we are hearing the same things. So we've got to pursue this, and we've got to get help and funding, and for you to be able to do what you're doing. How can the community help? I mean, let's get you some. I mean, I don't know. I will say this. I want to say this, and we may get into this, but the podcast, what Todd does. Listen, I want to tell you. I mean, we want to. If you have a fundraiser or an event, please let us know.
Okay, we're gonna get into that soon. You know, the fundraising or anything like that.
I mean, is that something you guys are currently doing right now? Like, I know. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
I don't know. We haven't did any type of we did like a fundraiser on Facebook or something like that, and it went well. You know, we've had a few private donors that showed us love, and got a couple of churches that gives monthly donations and stuff like that. But we're gonna start looking into doing some fundraising.
I mean, I know these may sound like kind of like small things, but there's another recovery organization in Pennsylvania that I work with. That I've been working with them for a couple of years, and some of the things that they do just for like the seasonal fundraisers during the year. And now obviously everybody does Giving Tuesday with a hope and a prayer that they're going to get it matched, and they never do, because it's never, it's always gone before that comes to that. But like the chicken barbecue fundraisers. Getting a hold of like some of the local bakeries, doing there's small, I mean, it's aggravating, to be honest with you, because Mike actually said it at the very beginning. We're back to doing bake sales and cook, I can't, and I mean, but one of the things that they've done is they've partnered with a local library up there. And so they have like a canned food drive that'll help out with the houses. But at the same time, they actually go in, have a public setting where they can actually interact with the community. So they actually but they actually have their residents from their men's and women's program involved within the fundraisers themselves, so the community can help see.
Right. They want to see the fruit of it, see what's coming, the good coming out of it.
So, I mean, is that something you think that you may be looking like something along those lines? Is that what you were already thinking in your head?
Yes, sir. We want to get the guys involved. I'm like when we first started this, I'd go to these churches and events and speak. I don't even do that no more. I'll get up and introduce the guys. Some of the guys in the program are in our houses is going to do the speaking now. You know what I mean? People know my story. I want them to tell their story.
and I'm on your website, and so obviously, I mean, under the About Us, you have what others say about us, and it's testimonies or testimonials. So, you have a nice picture there of. Unfortunately, I should have gotten that before we started up, so I could show it. But I mean, you have a small group of probably about 15 people there with you, and so as far as, because you're faith based. So do you do a lot with that when you do have the public engagements with having the residents or those that have successfully come through your program? Do you how does the community find out about that portion of it?
So when we do go out, we do events, and me and my wife, we take them all. I mean, most of the guys, like we went to a kids we got invited to a kids event down home where I'm from. The church put on, and there was hundreds of people there, and the guys got up and give their testimonies. We helped serve food. We going next weekend to do the same thing. You know, just get them involved with the community and let the community see what we doing. And not only that, like a lot of people, addictions touch everybody's life. I don't care who you are. They don't discriminate. You either got a niece, nephew, sister, brother, somewhere down the line. And we just want to give them hope that, hey, if their kid or whatever's out there still struggling, there is hope. Look at these guys. You know what I mean? And but yeah, that's we do. We do a lot with the community and getting the guys involved with them for sure.
And that's the thing, man. I mean, as far as we're concerned, I mean, Todd and I and what we do here and everything. Listen, if faith based or 12-step based or you know, whatever, we don't care as long as these guys are getting better. We want to support it, you know, and that's.
You can't put recovery in no box. I got friends that went through AA different programs, and they still sober, 5 or 6 years sober.
Right.
But what my heart is in is Jesus saved me, and that's what I believe in. And that's you know, it's hard to show other people how to recover if you didn't recover that way. You know what I mean? And that, absolutely. And that was, you know, it's got to be your vision and what you do. And, you know, and I can tell you're doing it well. Let me ask you this. And I got this. So your wife, Mandi, okay, we got to talk about her because like you said, she is the backbone of this. How much does it mean? I know how much it meant to me. My wife, I don't mind telling you, my wife propped my butt up financially for 10 years, which was part of the reason I was like, you know, I got to kind of give this up because that woman never complained. She didn't complain one day. That's Mandi back there dealing with the dog. Hold on, let me get this. You got him, babe? I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay, man. It's just.
But go ahead.
But no, what does it mean to have a wife like Mandi that like stands by you when you do this? I mean, share with us a little bit about her.
It's amazing, man. You know, she didn't come from a background that I come from. Two totally different backgrounds, and you know, she met me and. I was living in a transition house. I've been there a year and a half.
That's interesting. So you had lived there for a year and a half when you met Mandi?
Yeah, I was living there when I met her, and we started dating. And I moved out the day I got married, and we moved in together. Yeah, amazing. But it's been amazing. So I got out of there. I went back to work. Got a good job offer, project manager out at BMW for a big company from Germany. But I was involved with another guy asked me to help out with another transitional recovery house, whatever it was. And my heart wasn't in it. I didn't agree with what was going on. And so I got out, and my wife knew that I wanted to do that. And we was I'm looking at the kitchen table now, and we was sitting there in November, and she looked at me and she's like, "You're done talking about it. We're gonna do it."
Nice.
She said, "We're gonna do it." So she filed for the 5. She did all this herself. Now.
She did it. So here's my wife's story. Okay, so I guess it was I just got the building over there that you and I used to meet over there.
Yeah.
I started out just like you did with a few houses, and then I got this building. As soon as I bought the building, I'll never forget it. I got down, I think I had $14 and some odd cent. I'm not kidding you, in my bank account. And both of the vans, one of them blew up. The engine blew up. And then the other van broke down. So I had 2 broke down vans and $14.93. This was in 2013. I was sitting at my kitchen table crying, literally crying. She walked in and I had my head on the table. And she said, what? And I said, I'm done. I said, I got $14. I said, I just signed, I think at the time I had leased the place. I said, I just leased this place. I think it was like $2,000 a month or whatever. And I was like, I'm done. There's no way possible that I can go forward with $14.90 in the bank. And she looked at me and she said, Mike, God called you to do this. And this is exactly what she said. Do you know people with money? And I looked and I said, yeah. I said, I guess I do. And she said, humble yourself and pick up the phone and call them. And I did. I picked up the phone and I called, like I started out with one of my buddies.
Yeah.
That I grew up with, lives in Atlanta, and he does well. He's in the mortgage business. And I called a few people and I raised $900 and something. And then here's the fun. Here's another thing. I went and picked up this guy at a hospital. I'll never forget it, at St. Francis Hospital. And he turned out to be a long lost cousin of mine. But guess what he was, David?
What?
A mechanic.
And he worked on that. Praise God for that, huh?
Yeah. So, and that's why I wanted to. I noticed that because I remember when you first opened your house, because I always watch this stuff, and I'm like, watching everybody. And I watched her, and she walked through the house and she showed the washer and dryer and how nice the house was and everything. So we want to, go ahead, Todd, but we want to give a shout out to Mandi.
Well, I wanted to ask, so since Mike just shared a divine intervention moment, could you give us an example, David, of something, maybe not necessarily like that, but something where something happened that you absolutely knew that it was a divine intervention, that there's no other way that this would have, that's affected you being able to operate the program you have?
It's all God. But I can tell you, so the first struggle is getting a house. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. We can hear you very well. Thank you.
The first struggle was finding a piece of property, a house that somebody would allow me to lease, called every project management people I know. And once I said a recovery house, they was like, oh, we don't do drugs and alcohol on our property. I was like, did you hear what I said? It's a recovery house. But anyway, I've been searching for a house. We put this little bit of money into savings account, opened up a Sammy's Mission account. And I was working a shutdown at BMW, and I worked 6 weeks straight with one day off, 16, 17 hours a day. I had Christmas Day off, and we was in the process of looking for a house. And this guy called me and he was like, all right, I got a house for you. Do you want it? And at the time I couldn't move no furniture in or nothing. I told my wife, we got to get it. She's like, how are you going to get it? You're working 20 hours a day. You know what I mean? And she was like, just take a breath, relax. We didn't even have the money in the thing to get we'd had to pull it out our savings to get the house. You know what I'm saying? We didn't. And I don't know, man, just through prayer. And I remember right then I said, okay, I'm not going to get that house. I had a peace about it. And as soon as I finished that shutdown, the floodgates opened. Somehow we had a few $1,000s in our account to get the house with. And I don't know, that was just a big eye-opening moment for me, just trusting God in the process and not wanting to do what I wanted to do right then. You know what I mean? And just wait. And that was huge for me. And
David, is that the house that I didn't mean, but is that the house that I walked through with you? That was your first house?
That was the first one.
Because I remember what the conversations we would have, because I ran into this back in 2011, 12, when I first started doing, I had a couple of communities that tried to run me out of neighborhoods. And so the one thing is you would call me
Yeah.
Tell me about them fair housing laws again. And I would go through the fair housing laws with you and how Ruth Ginsburg was instrumental in passing the fair housing laws, which states that that alcohol addicts and alcoholics can live together as a family, because you were worried they have the same, in other words, they have the same rights as a family. You know?
Yeah, and we had a deal with that. We had a one of the houses was too close to one another. The guy that the second house we got, he met with us and he'd seen what we was doing. He was like, "Look, the owner of the house said, I'm all in. I'm gonna buy the house across the street, and y'all can do that one too." And come to find out, they was too close together. Yeah, they had to be a quarter mile apart, and I had to meet with the zoning department, but praise God, we worked everything out. I shut it down immediately and got another house. And, we keep 6 guys in each house because I don't want to get no match with the zoning department. But yeah, I'm glad you told me that, because that gave me a peace of mind. I told my wife, I know Mike Todd knows what he's talking about.
You called me and said, "Look, I'm having this problem." I said, "Uh-oh." I said, because I know where that zoning problem came from. It came from 2010, 11 kind of thing, where this guy back there, he bought I think it was 8 houses side by side, and he threw the fair housing laws at them, but he wasn't very nice to the county, and the county said, "Okay, so we'll put this in zoning, so now we'll shut you down that way," But anyway, but that literally, I can tell you what program that came from. But
you kind of talked me off the ledge with that one. But
I remember that day you called me. You're like, "Man, panicking." But everything, listen, everything is working out for you. And if there's one thing, listen, I want you to know I'm here for you. That. And Renee, I want her to see this, because this is a lot of similarities. It really is. I mean, starting with nothing, I can tell we had $150 something in the bank, David. And I tell you, when I didn't have any transportation, and I had worked with this guy, and he had an old bombed out Chrysler rust bucket of some kind of thing with a donut tire on it. And I called him up and I said, "How much hey man, will you sell me that car?" And he says, "Yeah, I'll sell it to you for $150. I had $150. And
that's what you had to
make. And you can ask Renee Todd. That is exactly what I had in the bank. And I'm going to tell you something, man. When God gets in this thing, there ain't no stopping it.
I'm a witness. I'm a witness to that, Mike.
And the other thing, yes, sir. And the other thing is, when you've got a wife like you have that'll stand by you and support you like Mandi does, you're going to be all right. Okay. I mean, maybe about 10 or 20 years from now, you'll be like, "All right, Mike, I'm burnt out. I'm ready to, maybe we'll start a consulting business or something." We don't know where this housing thing's going to go. But listen, I want to say this kind of as we wrap it up. Very proud of you. The old man's proud of you.
I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you, bud.
Well, and thank you so much. And Todd, you got anything you want to say to this gentleman?
Yeah. So David, and as we're landing the plane, I did want to ask you. Now, obviously, we've been running banners and everything, at the bottom of the page, throughout the show. But we do also have this as an audio format. So if anyone would like to contact Sammy's mission or find out more about them, could you actually tell our prospective audience that's going to be listening to this after the fact how they can actually get in contact and how they can help support the wonderful program that you have there?
Yeah, you can just contact me through my phone number that's on our website. My phone is 843-898-3907 or dcarson@sammysmission.org. And any monetary donations, anything will be incredible.
Yeah. And so if anyone is listening and not watching the actual live feed replay, it's sammysmission.org/donate. And also, if you wanted to learn more about the program, you can go to www.sammysmission.org. And as David said there, you can also call the number 843-898-3907.
Yeah, and I also want to say, like, if anybody needs help getting into treatment or anything like that, just pick up the phone and call us, man. We try to do that also, you know.
And as far as treatment, what do you do?
I'm plugged in with some pretty good faith-based treatment centers, and all I got to do is pick the phone up. I'm blessed to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
I noticed you do that locally. And
it's just right here in Greenville.
It's a local. If you call David about treatment, it's local. He runs a lot of folks. He runs a lot of guys through Overcomers, and then after they do Overcomers, he supports them with transitional housing. So
Overcomers, they have their transitional housing.
They do.
That's where they do. But the other programs that we deal with, they don't. You know, so
exactly. So. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on. Call me if you need anything. We're going to continue to do this. And I want to say this is share this out, because one of the things we want to do this year, Todd and I talk, one of the initiatives that we want to do is we want to get, especially these housing operators, these folks like you that are doing this, we want to get them on the podcast, get them out here. Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have all these. I get it. We got 4 people up there and a couple of hearts, but listen, let's share this out.
For sure.
Let's continue to do this. And Todd, beautiful Ask 'em Studios, you did another great job tonight. We appreciate you. We love you. And Todd has a wonderful family. I'm going to tell you that too. So take us out.